What's up, everybody? Ozymandias again here from the humble abode, Mikasa, reporting to you live and direct once more. Uh, Recently, there's been a bit of a commotion off a popular television show where you have three judges choosing contestants to appear in Hollywood and do their thing out there. Um, and a lot of the drama that's actually been going on has nothing to do with the judges themselves. It actually has to do with a contestant and the way that he was portrayed as far as the neighborhood and environment that he grew up in. Actually, the kid grew up here in the South Bronx. And basically, the young gentleman gave his description of the Bronx as being filled with gangs, violence, drugs, crime in general, from robberies to murders and stuff, gunshots, stabbings, what have you. And the outcry from the people here in the Bronx has been very, I guess the word is up in arms towards the kid's description of where he lives, and then the producer's portrayal of the area. Even the Bronx Borough President, Mr. Ruben Diaz, sent in a letter stating that he himself was very upset that the Bronx was portrayed in such a negative light when crime has dropped and there's a lot of new renovations going on. He basically put it as a revitalization of the area, where even infrastructures are being put in right now for people to live. So all the abandoned lots that we used to have here are basically all gone. And I applaud all the people that have made that happen. Because it's true. Even the house that I live in used to be an abandoned lot. As a matter of fact, all the houses in this area were built back in about 1991, 92, 93, during that time period where somebody decided to actually invest in the area. So they bought up all the abandoned lots, they built up some townhouses and everything. And I've basically been here for about 17 years. And for the most part, it's been a very peaceful time that I've spent here. I won't lie. There has been a couple of instances of crime happening right in my neighborhood. Even about 2 summers ago, a young man was, sadly murdered down the street from me inside of a parking lot and everything. But I'm not here to defend Ruben Diaz. I'm actually here to defend that young gentleman because, for the most part, that's his experience here. There are a lot of places here in the Bronx where it's still somewhat unsafe to walk down. Sadly, yes, you have your country club roads over in the Pelham area. You have Pelham Manor. You have the Throgsneck area, and there's a bunch of beautiful places that you can go, but then you head over to Fordham Road area, the Kingsbridge area, Davidson Avenue, around there. Things get a little sketchy, Hunts Point area, that's definitely not the kind of place, a person would feel somewhat safe and welcomed, in the late evening one night, So this kid has this opinion about his neighborhood because he possibly lives in a neighborhood where these things occur. And when you tell a story, you need a backdrop for your story. It's just how it is. You can't sit there and paint a picture without paint. Unless you're using blood or some kind of dye or what, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, basically the kid needed a canvas to paint his picture, so the producers put that canvas together for him. They showed the area, they showed the police cars, with the lights flashing and everything. It could have been, just a simple traffic stop, whatever the case. But the fact remains is, this kid, this is the life he lives. Gangs are very existent here in the Bronx. You have your Bloods, you have your Crips, you have your Latin Kings, you have your Nietas, you have any and every gang possible, Those are like the top four that I could think of off the top of my head. You know, there's a couple of Dominican gangs that are also running around now and everything. And, you know, for the most part, yes, the representation of the people is good, hardworking people here. Absolutely. But that doesn't, you know, take away from the fact that these things still do exist. Mr. Ruben Diaz, I don't know what world you live in, but the world I live in still has gangs, it still has violence, it still has murder, it still has drugs, it still has rapes, it still has robberies. You know? I've been mugged 3 times here in my lifetime. And I live in a pretty decent neighborhood. You know, but I've been taken for my bike, I've been taken for jewelry, and I've been taken for money. You know? So for this gentleman, for this young man to say that this is the life he lives in and everybody to be upset about it, you have no right to be upset about it because this is the life he lives. You know, maybe your life is a little bit different, maybe the neighborhood you grew up in is a little bit different, but for the most part, things here are, you know, I would say that they're safe, but they're not to where you can walk down any neighborhood at night. You know, there's still very sketchy areas here in the Bronx. You know, and sadly this kid possibly grew up in one. But you guys are attacking him. Instead of taking what he said and trying to turn it into a positive, trying to work on exactly what he's trying to get away from. Right? So I'm not here to criminalize the kid. I'm not here to criminalize Mr. Diaz. I'm just trying to show, you know, that there is work to be done. Work has been done. Progress has been made. You know, but we are still the poorest district in the country. All right? We have the highest rate of AIDS in the country. Okay? So we're not just going to sit here and paint a pretty picture when even that's total BS. You know, things are still not right here. You know, I line up in the morning, you know, and I see the people all on the corner heading to the methadone clinic, you know, and hopefully it's allowing them to get clean in their lives and everything, and maybe there's progress and stuff, you know, but it's not just 5 or 6 people. There's a good 40, 50 people that walk up and down Westchester Avenue, you know, near Prospect, heading to the methadone clinic. The same way that they're walking to the methadone clinic off of Lexington and 125th Street in Harlem, and there's a lot of places like that, you know. So the violence is still here, the poverty is still here, you know, and in reality, crime has gone up recently here in New York City, and that includes the Bronx. So for Mr. Diaz to sit here and say that crime has gone down, yeah, it's gone down historically over the last 30 years or so, but that's because we had a great economy. But the economy is not doing that great right now, and crime is back up on the rise because people, instead of working hard, would rather take from others, you know, which is sad and very unfortunate for those that become victims of these crimes. And this young man, I'm hoping, has never been one, you know, but gangs rule the schools. You know, I know my brother personally, when he was attending a public school after being asked to leave from a Catholic school, was chased by gangs daily to where the point my mother's ex-boyfriend was actually picking him up from school because of the amount of attention my brother drew from gangs. You know, one gang wanted to beat him up, another one wanted him to join, so since he didn't want to join, they decided that they had to beat him up, and they actually sent a friend of his to do it, and my brother wanted him knocking the kid out, because that's how we do. But, you know, it became worse and worse for him to try and actually obtain an education while having all of this extra bullshit in his life, you know. Thankfully, he was able to get out of that school and back into the Catholic school that he was asked to leave after showing that he can actually do the work and maintain, you know, a high enough grade point average to attend the school. Because he was never a behavior problem. It was always, you know, the grade thing with him. But that's besides the point, you know. The gangs are still here. And they're growing. Because kids are raising kids. You know, I said this before in the last one where education is not a priority. And a lot of parents are my age right now. And their kids are in high school. and stuff. So when your kid's in high school and you yourself are a gangbanger, there's a good possibility that your kid is also a gangbanger, and you're not doing right by him or by yourself by continuing this stupidness. So, Mr. Diaz, you really, I feel, need to take a look at what's really going on. You know, stop visiting the good neighborhoods. Stop walking around with police protection. How's that? As a matter of fact, walk around with no security at all. Walk around the neighborhood at night. See what's really going on. Find out what really happens. You know, statistics don't lie, right? Because that's what you guys go by. And the statistics have shown that crime is on the rise again. You know, there was recently a drug bust of 200 people over in the I don't even know the name of the area, but I know it's Bainbridge Avenue up there off of Webster Avenue and stuff. You know, they were running a heroin trade. So you can't tell me that these things are dwindling down and that they no longer exist even in some areas, because you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to me. I see it. I live it every day. The same way this young gentleman lives it every day. You know, let's work on it though. That's what we have to do. We have to show that there is somebody behind the good people. You know, let's remove corruption from all systems, not just the police system, but also the school system that's failing our kids. You know, and let's work on these things, and let's try to advance ourselves past the crime, past the violence, past the drugs, past the rapes, past the robberies, past the assaults, the fighting, just the total stupidity that is painted of us, right? Because that's basically what we're fighting against here is a video that was painted, but it was painted from the kid's story. It's his life. It's exactly how he lives. So, I want for us to do better as a people, as a community, as the Bronx, because, we cannot be the home of possibly the greatest baseball or sports franchise team ever and then make complete asses of ourselves by doing the complete opposite of what that organization has shown to be, which is champions. We need to be champions in our lives. We may not get a trophy out of it. We may not get a check out of it. We're not going to get A-Rod money. We're not going to get Derek Jeter money or even Andrew Jones money. But we need to work on this. And instead of demeaning the young gentleman and putting down his portrayal of his area and attacking the producers of that television show, we should be looking deep into it, more in depth, and trying to figure out exactly what's still going on out here. What can we do as a community, as a people, as Bronx residents, because I've been here 30 years. Even when I lived in Philadelphia, I always came home and visited, because this is my home. I am a representation of the good of the Bronx, and there's a lot of us out here, and for the bad to be on the forefront is not what we want, but we also have to understand that there's still work to be done. Everybody, you have a great day. Thank you for listening to me. Talk to you soon.